Welcome to a look at TikTok today. So we're going to be looking at a very different platform than what you're normally looking from me and from the ASBAS Digital Solutions Program as well, because TikTok is one of those great mysterious places where we're not quite sure whether it's our business has a place in it. So we're going to introduce you to the TikTok marketing platform and a little bit about growing and maintaining a presence on TikTok yourself as a business. My name is Dante St. James. Let's get underway and I'll just share my screen quickly. And we're off. So a little bit of an introduction to the marketing platform today, and it's all brought to you by the Australian Small Business Advisory Services Digital Solutions Program. Gary Vaynerchuk, probably one of the greatest marketers in the world right now, says, why should you be on TikTok? Well, because there is attention on TikTok. Wherever there is attention, that's where brands should be. My apologies for the typos there. That was kind of rushed in that last slide. I was trying to find a really good quote from someone about TikTok, and Gary is the only one I could find that had a really solid, really strong position about TikTok when it comes to general digital marketing. What we're going to look at today is a little bit of advertising on TikTok. We want to be able to see, what you can actually use as far as advertising goes. What are the tools that are available, and what are the things that you think you might be able to leverage and make use of from the TikTok marketing platform. We're going to set up the ad platform. So we're going to go through a few slides that show you how to do that. We'll look at who is already doing stuff on TikTok. In one particular case study that I've dragged from a digital agency that allowed me to use that, which was a really interesting look at how they were able to leverage TikTok for a brand that wouldn't necessarily naturally lean itself to video marketing on a platform like that. We'll look at using influencers and what some of those influencers have to say about growing your own audience on TikTok, particularly if you're looking at just getting started or having a bit of a look to see if TikTok's really for you. And that growth of audience thing is going to give you some real takeaway tips that you can use. But be ready, TikTok is not for the faint of heart, and it's not the easiest platform to either make a go of or to advertise on. You'll see what I mean soon. Thanks to Business Station and the Australian Small Business Advisory Services Digital Solutions Program. It's an initiative of the Australian Government in conjunction with Business Station in WA, Regional Development Australia, Brisbane in Queensland, and Treaty Business Consulting in the Northern Territory, which is the background you can see in me right now is of Darwin City, where I'm from. I'm actually on the road though. I'm a bit of a digital nomad. I'm in Brisbane with my folks right now, or more the Gold Coast end of Brisbane, and enjoying the lifestyle that comes with that, I suppose. This will be available a little bit later on today via the YouTube channel of both Business Station, and I'll be loading up to my own digital channel as well. Just look for my name, Dante St. James. You'll be able to see that. With the Business Station YouTube channel, usually up a bit quicker than me because they're very, very efficient at getting these things done. A little bit about me, my education through Western Sydney University and New South Wales University. I've done a bunch of certifications through the Chartered Institute of Marketing and TAFE New South Wales. Right now, though, I am a Facebook Blueprint Certified Lead Trainer and Facebook Australia Community Trainer. I'm the only trainer in Australia for Facebook that has both the global and the local certifications. Blueprint Certified Digital Marketing Associate and Media Planning Professional buyer, and also got the other one, the Creative Strategist certification. I just never can fit them all on the screen. Working with Google's Digital Springboard program, as well as the 3 government programs through the Australian government, including the Be Connected, Stay Smart Online program, Australian Small Business Advisory Services, which you're accessing this particular webinar through, and the new business assistance with the new Enterprise Incentive Scheme in the Northern Territory. So advertising on TikTok, what is it all about? Well, why would you even think about advertising on TikTok? Because it's in over 150 markets now. It's over in 75 different languages, 800 million downloads. And I just heard from this too. This was only the Google Play downloads. There's a lot more also on iPhone too. So just 800 million, it takes it well over 1.5 billion when it comes to the downloads that have also happened on iPhones as well. It's had massive growth very, very quickly. It's one of these platforms that appeared to come from nowhere, was previously called Musical.ly. So that's where a lot of the dancing and lip syncing seems to come from. TikTok were able to do what many of the other social media platforms weren't. They were able to create really good deals with the music companies. So they were able to use a lot of different music from very popular artists. So very popular music from day one was brought into the Musical.ly app, and then it's become very much in time with the TikTok platform as well, which has led to a massive popularity in the under 30s. And look, I got a 57-year-old friend who constantly sends me Facebook Messenger messages with TikToks embedded in them. So it's not just for the kids, but the kids are certainly the ones where this are at. Like they're really, really motivated by TikTok, and it's become their primary short form video destination. About the same with probably Instagram and Snapchat. Very, very similar in the under 30s. All those three platforms are places where they do spend a lot of their time, including YouTube for the longer of the formats of video. What TikTok does is gives a very innovative video content control. It's got the vertical orientation. So you think of stories like for Instagram and for Snapchat, both of those are made specifically for people on their phones. This is not a desktop application, although you can view it on desktop. It's very much made natively just for the mobile phone, which also means that mobile phone attention being so short that the videos are also short, under 1 minute. So usually the average is about 15 seconds. Like the shorter they are, the snappier they are, the funnier they are in a very short amount of time. That seems to be the stuff that does particularly well on TikTok. You can use filters and augmented reality camera tricks. So you've got things like, for instance, the girl on the left is showing that she's done some makeup, but she is adding a lot of effects and filters on that, smoothing out her skin, putting additional makeup on herself as well. And she may want stickers and that sort of like interactive, stuck on animated content that comes onto it as well. Lots and lots of that stuff. The AR camera tricks are things that sort of, put a flower crown on your head. Now, it's very much a Snapchat thing, but also very much in Instagram these days too. We can add bits and pieces to your face. So it's still very much about putting a camera in front of your face, doing the very selfie thing, but it's video and it's very, very smart. Very, very well. They're things that I guess that once upon a time they were camera tricks that we thought were really cheap and nasty. Now they look really awesome. So, for instance, like putting things over the top of you, putting a face filter on your face, putting different things like birds chirping on your shoulder, anything like that. Those little camera tricks are really popular. But there's also certain movements that get very popular. So, for instance, the very fast zoom in and zoom out. The people who does if you watch my camera now, you'll see that like people who go put the hand into the camera and then they pull it back and then it opens up a new scene, for instance, where they might have like snapped their fingers, and the camera trick is that they have the same position, snap their fingers, and the clothes change automatically like magic. So little camera tricks like that, which once upon a time in movies and TV would be considered very, that's a very cheap and nasty effect. Because they're kind of cute and they're done in nothing but like a little 15-second video, these things tend to be very popular and very effective. And you'll see them all over. Marketers, though, we tend to do the worst part of this. Like we tend to do this thing where we go, okay, here's me dancing onto a bit of music, and then I point to a word, and I point to another word, and then I point to another word, and point to another word, and we think that's somehow us being on TikTok. It's not. It's actually really like probably the lowest common denominator when it comes to TikTok. Pointing the lesson I'm trying to teach you about why you should use me as an Instagram specialist. It doesn't really work, and it's very, very. It is cheap and looks cheap, and it doesn't have any sort of impact either. Very, very simple to use, and this is where TikTok has really made their point of difference compared to other things like Facebook, things like Instagram, even Snapchat, is they've made the process of editing video remarkably simple. And Instagram is still very much trying to catch up with this, with a lot of their tools, not just the AR tools, like the augmented reality tools, which give the opportunity to be able to do all those like fancy filters and face filters and putting flower crowns and hats on and horns on your head, all that sort of thing. It's more to do with how you're able to recreate your favorite TikToks, like things like where they do that, they'll put the hand in, pull the hand back, and it all changes, or snap their fingers and their clothes change, or jump up and down, and as they jump up and down, the clothes change. All those little camera tricks are really easy to pull off on something like TikTok. It's designed to do that kind of stuff. Instagram still sort of catching up on it, but you can do a lot of these things with external video tools as well. And we've got a process of how you do this, so that the loading it up and all that sort of thing you can do. You don't have to necessarily make it right there on your phone. You can make content elsewhere and bring it in, just making sure though you're doing it in the right orientation, which is that vertical phone format rather than the landscape YouTube on a desktop computer kind of format. So who is it that uses TikTok? Well, unsurprisingly, Generation Z and millennials. So probably the younger end of millennials. So we're not talking about the millennials who are now turning 32, 33. We're talking about, the 27, 28-year-old millennials. They're very highly engaged, usually spending a good 2+ hours a day on the platform, which is like crazy. You can spend that much time on a phone, really. Now, naturally, TikTok is not their only place where they're spending time. They are very, very active on Instagram and very, very active on Snapchat as well. But TikTok has taken away a lot of that attention from places like Facebook video and from YouTube video because very short, very sharp, very entertaining. And because of its highly engaged nature, you tend to find that people will get themselves sucked into a bit of what we used to call a YouTube hole once upon a time, because you'd go and watch one YouTube video and then you'd be stuck in this hole of going on and going rabbit hole of different YouTube videos. The same thing happens with TikTok. It is geared to be able to keep people on the platform, which means you start watching one really entertaining video and then another video comes up. And as you watch more of those videos, it gets a really, really good, solid understanding of the kind of content that you enjoy and the kind of content you want to follow. There also tend to be major city dwellers. So they're very young and in major cities where there tends to be quite a lot of high disposable income in their family, not necessarily themselves, but at least their parents. And they tend to be very much impulse spenders. They love Wish. They love buying things online. They're very fashioned, makeup and trend conscious. And it's all about looking good, being popular, and what they call blowing up on TikTok. So what they used to call going viral back in yours and my day, they now call blowing up on TikTok. So they want to be able to, become very, very famous very, very quickly for a very, very specific thing. Now, it doesn't really last very long, that fame, just like YouTube fame. It does tend to last like a little longer because you produce enough content. TikTok fame tends to be very fleeting. You'll go very, very viral, very, very blown up for a day. And then the next day you're kind of forgotten about because the algorithm is designed to keep feeding new content through again and again and again. You'll never run out of content because there's literally hundreds of millions of videos on that platform, and it will keep delivering stuff until you turn off your phone. Now, one thing is very important to understand about TikTok. It is that it's not Instagram. It's highly creative video posts. It's not like going over, look at the sunset. Here's me under a waterfall taking a selfie. It's not about that, although it does have those elements in it as well. But that sort of content doesn't do particularly well on the platform because you can see that anywhere else. Rather than the minutiae of your day, what you ate for dinner, what you woke up and looked like in the morning. Here's a picture of my dog. It's less about that and more about here's the trick that my dog can do. Here's something very unique that I can do. I've got this double jointed thumb that I can do this gross trick with, and that's the sort of stuff that really does well on something like TikTok. Some people describe it as a bit like a freak show, and in some ways it kind of is. Here's the freaky thing I can do that people generally can't do. A lot of that stuff, though, isn't necessarily people who are freaky. It's just using camera tricks and angles and editing to make things look a lot more freaky than what they naturally are. Instagram, whilst it's more about displaying that best side of your life, TikTok's more about displaying this is who I am. Instagram is more about this is who I wish I was. So all those very aspirational lifestyles, that's the sort of stuff that really blows up on YouTube and Instagram. But when you get to TikTok, it's more about, because the video doesn't hide much, and as much as you can try and edit yourself, you're still going to be the same person because video, you can't hide as much as you can behind a very highly edited photo. So there's a very natural alignment with the brands that seem to align also with authenticity, sincerity, doing what they say they'll do, being who they are, not selling out. So you'll see that a lot of these brands that do very well also have people just naturally aligning themselves with that brand on the platform. It's a very honest race for likes and follows. You're not going to see a lot of hidden. On Instagram, it's like pretending that somehow I'm providing a life-changing content, and that's why you should follow me. On TikTok, it's quite simply like, I'm just asking you straight away, let's blow this up on TikTok. I want everyone to know about this. Come on, guys, make this go viral. And they're really, really honest about it, about getting likes and follows and making their content really, really famous and very, very widely accepted across the world. So it's, in that case, it's a lot more honest about what it really is. Instagram tends to be a crowd that will go, here's my beautiful photo. Now, I know and you know that I really want this shared around the world, but I'm not going to say that. I'm just going to let you assume that I want it shared, and hopefully it will be shared. TikTok, my goodness, they just say it straight out. Let's make this blow up. I want this to blow up. My mum told me if I got 100,000 likes, she'd buy me this car. Like, things like that are just, honestly, whether it's true or not, it's just very much a race for likes and follows. It's a big popularity contest. And that's pretty much what the internet is, I guess, is a very big popularity contest. And some people are very popular, some people are not popular at all. And that's just kind of the world we live in. So we can either fight it or we can take advantage of it as businesses and make sure we're at the forefront of this kind of thing. So what I'll take you through into now is a bit of a look at TikTok's advertising platform. Now, please bear with me. This is going to be very much about how the platform works and the things you can do and the ad formats that come in there. Be warned though, TikTok can be rather expensive if you're going to advertise. If you're going to create content, that's completely up to you. It's like any platform. You can go organic and create this amazing content and you can be blown up on TikTok, and that's great. But for those brands who are, rather than being creative, are trying to achieve certain measurable outcomes, advertising platforms like Facebook ads, Google ads, LinkedIn ads, Instagram sponsored posts, all that sort of stuff is very much about being able to get some kind of measurement of what you're doing when it comes to your marketing, rather than just, here's a great brand. So there's two very, very different kinds of buying that you do for space on TikTok. What we call reservation buying, where you reserve space, you buy space on the platform. And then there's the ad auction, which is where you go in and you pay to compete for space with other advertisers. Buying space and reservation is kind of like when you think of like a newspaper, where you're buying a piece of real estate on a newspaper on a particular page, at the masthead, at the bottom, on the whole full front page. Whereas competing for space is what we've become used to in things like Google and Facebook ads, where we understand that this is a competition. We understand that this is an auction, and that sometimes it's more expensive than others, and we don't understand why, but we just trust the algorithm and just think, well, there's some times when it's very competitive, it gets more expensive, and sometimes where it's not so competitive that I seem to get cheaper rates. So the first thing we'll look at with reservation buying when you're buying space is what we call a brand takeover. Now, this is the opening screen of the app. When the screen opens up and it's got a little TikTok logo, it immediately opens up an ad that looks a little bit like this one on the screen right now. It involves either a 3-second JPEG graphic or a 3 to 5 second video. It's all about having massive reach and awareness of what your product is and what you're trying to do. And naturally, a 3 to 5 second video is going to have way more impact than what a 3-second JPEG would have. Now, this is a very, what we call, disruptive ad. It can't be skipped. You have to be able to watch it to get into the app in the first place. So that if you're buying this particular placement, you're putting yourself in a position where people are definitely going to see you, and it's going to be really, really obvious. It's very good for driving direct sales, though it can backfire, particularly if you haven't matched the thought of the platform. If you haven't done something incredibly creative, funny, entertaining, something like that, it'll backfire and you're just another, Generation X or boomer brand who's trying to tell people what to buy on a platform that they don't understand. So brand takeover is possibly the most expensive of all the positions you can take. There is another one which is equally as expensive, and I'll tell you a bit more about what the costs of that are a little bit later on. There's what we call branded AR content. This isn't that expensive, but it can be a little bit of a expense to set up really well. So just the same way that you can do photo frames on Facebook and load them in and can have your brand on them and can encourage people to use them, just like you can have on Snapchat and Instagram location filters. So people can be at a festival and they can wear the logo of the festival on their head or on their t-shirt, or if it's like maybe a Pride festival, they might want to have their face covered in a rainbow flag, that kind of thing. These kind of things can be done through TikTok as well. They call them branded 2D and 3D effects. So 2D, just flat things that sort of sit on a screen. 3D means, for instance, this particular person replacing this a celebrity with their own face, for instance. So it's an effect which they can use that places them in a particular brand. In this case, this is going to be Sunsilk, and the effect that they were using there is that you go into the app and then you let it scan you, then it gives you choices of hair because of Sunsilk being a shampoo brand. So it'll show you the difference between your hair now. And if you shake your head like this, then what it'll do, you stop shaking and then the hair falls down. It shows you a little bit like what your hair could look like. So what will my hair look like if it was longer? Shake, shake, shake. And then this is what my hair would look like if it was longer. So the branded, what they call branded scan, will scan your face and place you in a particular scene or a situation. In the case of this, the Sunsilk Studio, with which you'll be able to shake your head and then the hair falls down. It shows you what you look with different color hair, different styles of hair, naturally branded with some a particular shampoo that's designed to make you look absolutely gorgeous. Now, these kind of things are not designed to set trends. They're designed to work off trends that already exist in the platform. So you're assuming that people have already done these shake head things or seen at least these shaky head things, which is a very common thing on the platform. And they're willing to use your branded scan to be able to do that for themselves. Now, the idea here for the brand, for the marketer, for the company who's paying for this, is that they would have an opportunity, excuse me, they'd have an opportunity to be able to get people to do the advertising for them. So if I was to put my face in there and I was standing there with me shaking my hair and suddenly I've got long hair, lustrous, curly blonde hair, well then, I would be in a position where I'm actually advertising Sunsilk. I can't block out their brand. Their brand's sitting right there in the top right-hand corner of the screen. It allows me to then be the advertiser for the advertiser. So the power of the brand is that their brand will go much, much further as people try to use this particular effect that happens to be also part of a brand, in this case, Sunsilk. Branded AR content then goes on to what we call the hashtag challenge. And this is where you're asking users to create videos around your particular hashtag. So if the hashtag could be curly hair, curly hair don't care. It could be all about people like creating a hashtag that's tied into your particular brand, which is creating like people with curly hair and they just want to show it off and they don't care. It's like, yep, I've got this curly hair. I'm going to show it off and I'm going to use this hashtag to do it. Now, what it does do when people join a hashtag challenge, it can include things like a shopping link. So the shopping link allows people on the platform to be able to tap on the button, a call to action, and they can buy the product that's associated with this particular hashtag challenge. So hashtag challenges could be couch to 5K. So going from the couch to running a 5K race, right? So that kind of thing can be something that they're placed in there with a hashtag, and then it could include a filter, anything that can include to make it so that you can tie it to you. And if someone joins that particular hashtag, so you own the hashtag for that time, then anyone who hashtags it in becomes part of that and it's fed back into your analytics. So the user can actually make ads for you that are like way better than the ad you've made yourself. So if you make your first hashtag challenge video, then it might be great, but then someone who's a great influencer or someone particularly creative has done a way that makes it even better. That's great. It blows up your hashtag, because it's part of the hashtag challenge, is also your call to action button, your branding that then gets carried out to many, many, many other people. So this is a paid placement on TikTok. You can start off a hashtag challenge of your own, but the problem is it will not carry across your brand to other people because you're not paying to have that hashtag reserved just for you. That's what's called reservation buying, because you're actually reserving that hashtag for your particular campaign. What we call the top view is up to 60 seconds of full screen long form video, usually that's very much like the content you'd normally see on TikTok. And it's in a way that that the autoplay is on and the sound is automatic on. And it's the first TikTok post that they're going to see as they enter the app, no matter what they follow. So it doesn't matter who the people are they follow, what is in it for them, what's their normal way of going through. This is the first thing they're going to see. Kind of like the branded takeover, but this isn't when they open the app. This is when after they open the app, the first thing that they're going to tap on is going to be this particular thing, and it forces them to watch it. So yes, while it can be up to 60 seconds, unlike the branded takeover, which you cannot skip, this you can skip. So you can go, well, it might be the top view, but I can skip forward because I know it's an ad and I don't want to see it. So that way, it's probably a little bit less effective, you'd think, than the branded takeover, but it's actually no cheaper because it's still forcing it in front of every user on TikTok in a particular geographical area that you are targeting. So that's going to be a very expensive placement as well. In-feed ads are sort of, very much an ad that's placed in the feed. So you're not, they what they say as part of this when they're trying to get you to make these is don't make ads, make TikToks. It's pretty much content, but it's branded as yours and delivered as regular content in amongst it. But it does look a little bit different because it's got call to action buttons that you don't have on regular TikToks. You got up to 60 seconds of video to play with, and it's in what they call the For You feed. So instead of the following feed, so the following is all the people you follow and all the things you want to see. This is in the other feed. So if you just sort of make it out on the screen here, at the very top of that particular example, you got the following, which is all their things they follow because they're fans of them and follow them. The For You feed is like an explore tab on something like Snapchat or Instagram, where you can go and explore other things that you don't already follow that you may have an interest in. So this particular in-feed ad, whilst it doesn't appear on the main feed where they're following all the people they like, it does give them, it's like the first suggested thing. It's going to pop in there as a suggestion that they should follow if they don't already follow it now. So that's why you can see it's very important not to make an ad out of this, but you make a branded TikTok. So you're going to make this thing look like it's as much content as anything else that they're going to see in their following feed in order for them to make them want to follow and consume that particular content. That may sound like a really easy thing when I say it as quickly as that, but in reality, it is a very difficult thing to do because, how do we know what's going to work? What is content that's going to be counted as something that should be blown up? So that's reservation buying. I'm going to tell you now that's probably out of reach of just about all small businesses. And I've got some pricing very shortly. We'll show you why it's out of reach. It's very expensive. Auction buying is based on the kind of model we're used to from things like Google and other platforms like Facebook, where we're paying for clicks, we're paying for conversions, we're paying for impressions, or we're paying for views. So what I'll do is go through these 4 different models of pricing and delivery that are based upon the auction buying set out in the TikTok, I'm about to say Facebook, in the TikTok platform for ads. So cost per click is all about calculating the total cost for total clicks. So you're calculating, okay, this is how much it's going to cost based on a total amount of clicks. Now the billing event is that what it does, it charges you based on each click. So it's literally a cost per click that you have. Now, where you can advertise cost per click is if you've got an objective like traffic, you want website traffic, you want people to download an app from a button that's on that particular ad, or you're looking for conversions. So that's where you're looking for people to have an action on your website that can be measured back by TikTok as being what you would call a conversion. Or it could be add to cart, it could be fill in this button, it could be enter this lead form, that kind of thing. This is delivered to those who are very likely to be clickers. They're the kind of people who like to click on things. And on Facebook, you'd be surprised how many people are clickers. Same thing goes with Google, which is pretty much just a platform designed for clickers or tappers. This is who it's designed for. So if you really want to get to people who are curious, people who are likely to tap on links to go and look at things, you would use the cost per click model as part of the auction buying on TikTok. The optimized cost per click is where you're looking for a little bit more than just the click. You're looking for the click and some sort of action after it. So what this is a total cost for a total result. And those results can be app installs or conversions. So what will happen is that you'll be charged per click, but that click is optimized for people who are likely to, number one, download an app and install it on their phone, if that's what you're trying to sell, or they're people who are likely to be converters. So they're people who are likely to add things to cart once they get to your shopping site, or they're likely to do things like clicking on a button to contact you or to put a form in, those kind of, whatever your conversion happens to be, that will be measured back. And these are people who don't just click, but they tend to consume the content on the page they're going to, and they tend to do something with it, not just simply click on it and then click away. This is delivered to those who are most likely to be clickers who then do something more. So whatever that optimization is that you want, whatever that particular outcome you want, if it's app installs or some kind of conversion, this is what the best particular optimization is going to be for you. So optimized cost per click. Then we've got the cost per 1,000 impressions. This is delivered to get the maximum reach you can possibly get. These people are not particularly clickers. They're not particularly people who are very brand aware. They're not particularly people who are going to do anything with your ad. They're just wanting to get in their mind. So this is charged by how many times the ad is delivered, not how many times it's being seen, how many times it's delivered. So cost per 1,000 of these impressions. So an impression is like, think of it as TV ad, right? A TV ad goes on the air. Now, you may not have seen that TV ad because you're in the kitchen at the time or you went to the bathroom. Doesn't mean that the ad didn't air and didn't get seen by some people. It just didn't get seen by you. So the cost per impression is how many times equivalent that the TV ad went to air. Doesn't mean how many people saw it. So you're charged by each impression. If your ad goes out and plays 16,000 times, only 2,000 people actually saw it, only 100 people did something with it, you're charged by how many times it actually showed up, not by how many times it was seen. That's a very important delineation there, is that impressions are not views. Impressions are times that it appeared. It doesn't mean that that many people actually saw it. It's all about getting to the maximum amount of people in front of their eyes as you possibly can. The cost per view, though, is the opposite of that. It's not just impressions. It's people who don't just get delivered it, but they actually saw it. So it's usually total video views, 1,000 of those. So how many thousands of people have, how many thousand people have seen your particular video on TikTok? That's how you build. So you're charged by 2-second video views or 6-second video views. Now you can choose which one you want. You will say, I'll pay for 1,000 2-second videos or 1,000 6-second video views, or you can pay based on video completions. There's someone going through the entire 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, or 60-second video appearing on the platform. So there's a way for you to get around that you can, it's going to be cheaper for you to charge by 2-second videos because those 2-second videos are much more common, and there's a lot more people viewing content for very short periods of time. But if you're looking for video completion and your video was 48 seconds long, it's not the right platform for people to watch videos of that long unless it's incredibly creative, incredibly compelling, and really something that's delivering some value to the person who's viewing it. Now, your applicable advertising object is video views. It's all about getting views on your particular post or your particular ad, your video on TikTok. It's designed to get maximum video views. The people who this is delivered to, who it's optimized towards, are people who are video viewers. Particularly if you choose 2-second video viewers, it's going to be pretty much everyone on the platform. If you're choosing 6-second video viewers, you're looking at people who are much more adventurous and willing to see things they don't know or don't follow. And video completion is a very rare unicorn of a thing, which is the person that is so curious about all things that they will view videos that they're not really sure about right through to their absolute completion. So what you need to do when you're loading this in and you're creating an ad, you either upload it from your computer. So you've already made all your stuff and you're going to upload it from there. You can also have a library of the content that you've had running on the platform. So say, for instance, you've been running organic posts on TikTok for the last 6 months. You can add one of your TikToks from your library of content that you've run before as an ad in the ads platform. Or you can use the creative tools that are actually in the platform to create something very new, something very unique, and something very, very now. So you can either upload it from your computer, add it from the stuff you've already had, or create something brand new. Either which way, they all work. There's no favoriting any particular thing or any other thing, just as long as it fits the platform, it fits the specifications, which are what they call the 5:9 ratio. So where it's like 5 wide by 9 deep. So phone ratio, basically, same as stories on Instagram or Facebook. Now, they do have a thing called automated creative optimization. So when you go and load something in, it'll look like on the left. So it looks like regular TikTok content. And then after 9 seconds, it highlights right here. You can see where the part that I'm squiggling over, it highlights the call to action. So it goes from sort of fading into it and having a call to action button, which is always there. But as soon as that 9 seconds passes, it then becomes really obvious this is a call to action, and it makes it much, much more noticeable. So these ads are going to be shown on the For You page, not the following. So you're not following it, it's in this For You page, right? So once you do, you can click on the profile image. So someone clicks on you, it'll display the name and all the other things and helps you to visit the landing page or the app store or wherever it is that you want to go to. So that download button, the call to action button, will go wherever you want it to go to. Website, landing page, or app store or Google Play, wherever that is. You can add a display name. Make sure your profile image is in, because that's what's going to appear down here as well. So your profile image that appears on the profile for your TikTok account will also appear down here. You don't get to choose that image. You get to choose this image in the background though. And then that little bit of writing there, you get to put that in, as well as choose which call to action button you got, whether it's a download, learn more, or buy now. So shop now, not buy now. Now, the cost of advertising on TikTok, this is when it's going to get a little scary. Please don't shoot the messenger on this one. But if you want to run these really premium placements, an in-feed video campaign, $25,000 a day. Crazy, huh? A top view or a brand takeover, so where you're forcing people to view your 3 seconds as they enter the app, or you become the top view, the number one thing that people should see on the For You tab, $240,000 a day. Wow, that's a lot of money. So you can see what they're making their millions and their billions already, right? Let's just skip over the reservation buying, because no small business that I know of is going to be able to afford this. And if they do, good luck to them. They're just as well, it's like Super Bowl ads in America, right? Barely anyone can afford them. So it's always the very big companies that've got $5 million to sink into an ad that they will actually do that. Different economies of scale with these kinds of businesses. You're not going to be able to afford this. I certainly can't. This gets a little bit more reasonable, but it's still way, way more expensive than operating on Facebook, right? The ad auction buying, so when you're buying the cost per click, the cost per thousand, the cost per view, the cost per impression, the daily minimum is $100 a day. So you can't get away with the $10 a day, $5 a day that you do on Facebook. $100 a day with a monthly minimum of $3,000. This is advertising. Now, please have to separate advertising and organic. Organic is still free for you to do. You can still blow up on TikTok and get famous and get known by creating amazing content on the platform. But the problem is, though, you can't guarantee it's going to get in front of people, because you're going to be dependent upon whether your creative tool is particularly creative and people particularly like it. So that's a bit of a reality check when it comes to advertising on this platform. Daily minimum of $100, which means a monthly minimum of $3,000. Now we'll run through the setup of how this works, because there's going to be somebody on this call who goes, I could probably afford that because I'm already spending that much on TV or radio. That's still small business amount. It's not micro business amount. It's small business amount. But let's take a look anyway at how it's set up. So you go to ads.tiktok.com. You can start off there, and you start by creating an account. So you say where you are. In this case, it said Japan, but you can say Australia. And whether you are primarily using this account as a business who is promoting goods and services, or whether you're an individual who's promoting your personal website or your personal pages somewhere. Very big difference here. It's kind of like on Instagram, where you separate yourself from being a business or being a creator. So in this case, The business will be business, and individual will be what Instagram calls a creator. So that's the difference in those ones. Then you add in your business information. So for instance, your name of your business, you must also provide the link that you're going to put in the ad. So the promotion has to be pretty much valid, and it has to be relevant to the products or service that you want to promote. So you can't just say that we are our link is an advertising agency, but what we're advertising is baby powder. If you're not the baby powder company, you need to put the baby powder company's link in there, the thing that's actually going to go to, not your agency link. Choose your industry, choose your address, all that sort of stuff, all the normal stuff. And then we move on to adding a payment method. So credit cards, debit cards are fine. Eventually they'll have a lot of payment methods in there, things like WePay, Alipay, PayPal, those sort of payment methods. So they'll be able to take payments from preloaded accounts, not just from live credit and debit cards. Next up, we've got the creating your pixel code. So just like in Facebook, there's code that's going to go on your website, and that code is designed for you to be able to measure actions on your website that people take once they tap on your link and they go to your website. So just the same way as on Facebook, you can target things like send a second ad to somebody who, for instance, had clicked on your website before, or someone who had added to cart a product in your website. You can do all the same things with TikTok as you can do with Facebook and also with LinkedIn. They're all very, very good projects, very good platforms for that kind of action. Now, the only thing, of course, you're going to find is that kind of remarketing and retargeting is becoming near impossible because the browsers, the companies, Apple, for instance, are starting to block that kind of tracking, that they will track what people do while they're on your website unless they opt in and allow that stuff to be tracked. So for instance, I would opt in because I want better ads that are better related to what I do and are going to serve me an experience that I want. Now, if I don't have things tracking me, I'm going to get ads for all sorts of crazy things that I have no interest in. At the moment, my ads are very well matched to who I am. They're very well matched to the kind of stuff I like and the kind of lifestyle that I lead. I don't want to lose that. So I will always opt in to have tracking done for me. So I've always got relevant ads that help me to make better purchases. Now, I'm probably a little bit more digitally involved than most people on the internet. Most people on the internet look at that and go, I don't want no tracking. No, TikTok, they're a Chinese company. I don't want them tracking me. Let's just get this out of the way now. Data on TikTok does not go to China. It is, yes, a Chinese-owned company, but the data is actually stored in the US. The data does not leave the US. The software development may be done in China based upon anonymized tracking data, not your personal tracking data, and certainly not your personal details. There's no need for them to track that. They can see everything they want on what they call an aggregated level. So the kind of level where there's so many millions of people on there, it looks at the best things that suit particular behavioral types, not your specific behavioral type. You'll be categorized, and the kind of experience you'll have on the platform will be due to that category, but it's not due solely upon your particular behavioral traits, unless you go to a website and you add to cart, and then they can say, okay, this particular person, Molly, she added this to cart, so quickly shoot her back an ad next time she's on TikTok that helps her to go through and not just add to cart, but to complete that sale as well. So you add that sort of code, you can go through manually installing it, or you can install it via certain third-party tools. At the moment, unlike Facebook, who've got third-party tools with everything from Joomla to Wix, WordPress, all sorts of website design tools, they're only currently serving through the Google Tag Manager. So it'll make it nice and easy for you. So if you don't have Google's Tag Manager's tags on your website, well, then you're going to have to you're going to have to manually install that code into your website so that then those actions can be tracked. Now, the starting of campaigns on TikTok are all done through creating audiences in much the same way as you would if you were creating a custom audience on Facebook. Here, you're creating what is called a customer file. So if you've got a list of clients, has to be at least 100. The more you've got, the more accurate it will be. So for instance, you're saying, I want to create an ad that's going to be delivered to customers of mine who I've got their email addresses, and they also happen to have an account on TikTok. I want to reach them specifically, that's what you can do. You load up your customer file. It will be anonymized. It'll only be looking for matches that are already on the platform. So it's not introducing new email addresses to them. It's just looking at the email addresses it already has and going, yep, okay, that's who I'm going to deliver this ad campaign to. Now that customer file can then be used to either create an ad that goes to those customers, or it can go to what is called a lookalike audience, which is people who are just like your existing customers, people who have dealt with you before. That's a really powerful way of reaching people. That kind of lookalike audience stuff is still very, very able to be done through Facebook, LinkedIn, and now TikTok as well. Engagement is where you're creating an audience that's based upon certain actions they've taken with you on the TikTok platform. So it could be people who saw your video, people who clicked on your video to go to somewhere else, or they've in some way engaged with your content by tapping the like button, for instance, or saving that particular post. App activity is people who have done specific things with your own app. So this is not the TikTok app. This is people who have maybe downloaded your app to their mobile and taken specific actions within your app. Because an app is essentially like a website, but it's packaged in a slightly different way that's designed to work with an operating system on a mobile phone. So what it will be is that pixel code that we're talking about in the previous slide is inserted not just into websites, but also into app code. So the app will be able to report back to TikTok whether somebody has clicked on the add to cart button in your app, or clicked on a listen button on the app, or the contact button, and you'll be able to report back and create retargeted audiences to receive ads based upon the actions they've had in your app. So not just your app, but also your website as well. That's the natural fit, I guess. Most people will be trying to measure things that have happened on their website. People who visited the site or took very specific actions on the site, like clicking a button, adding to cart, completing a sale, completing a lead form, completing a contact form, clicking on a call now button, that kind of thing can also be drawn as a custom audience that can then be retargeted with specific kinds of ads. Then lookalike audiences, sort of touched on that just then. Lookalike audiences are very much something which you can build, but they do require time. So for instance, what you call a cold start lookalike would be trying to create a lookalike audience based on pretty much no data whatsoever. So it's just saying, okay, here's a list of all the people I know that are on that are my customers that might also be on TikTok. Just try and pick out who you can pick out. Now, as your ad campaign runs longer, so remembering that it was $100 a day minimum, a $3,000 a month minimum, you run this thing for about the first month, that would be considered a cold start. The second month or third month may be what we call a mature delivery phase, where not only are we looking at what the lookalike audiences are based upon the list that you gave to Facebook or the list that you've been able to force through the fact that these people have engaged with your website or with your particular TikTok account. You can also see that those who have acted very differently. So it starts to learn about who out of those lookalikes are the people who are potentially a match are the better matches. And when the better matches come along within 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the track, you're getting way better results. You're spending way less to get bigger results. Now, eventually, though, you will run out of those lookalike audiences and you'll run out of people who are like the most possibly engaged people that will be on the platform with your particular account or your particular content. And we call this the decline phase because it's starting to get to the point where there's less people. You've kind of reached all the people you're going to reach, and there's not that many more people left to reach, or the remarketing is not really going to that many more people. In the decline phase, you can add more budget, you can add different creative, you can add something different or another source of data that helps to extend the peak of your campaign, which is in the mature delivery phase, out just that little bit longer. So remembering that lookalike audiences start off very much as cold starts based on guesswork, based on matches to email addresses or what people have done on your website or what people have done on your particular TikTok profile. Then you get that mature delivery phase where it knows so much more about the kind of people that do the things you want them to do, like click here, download this, make a call now, shop now. And then the decline phase towards the end where we know who those people are, we know what they're doing, but it's starting to get to the point where it's at the end of its run. Now, core targeting, just like Facebook, your core audiences are audiences based upon things like lookalike or custom audiences that you create. We just looked at that. You can also then exclude lookalike or custom audiences. Now, what you would do with an exclusion is that you would say, well, I want to advertise to people who do look alike my current customers, but I don't want to advertise to my current customers. That's a very common scenario. You've already got them as customers. You don't need to sell them that thing again. So what you would like to do is just advertise to people who are just like your customers, but aren't your current customers. Your demographics with your core targeting is like your gender, age, location, language, interests, and geographical stuff, all that sort of thing. And then you can also target people based on the kind of device they have. Oh, excuse me. You can also target them based upon their connection type, whether it's a fast, slow internet connection, NBN, mobile. You can target via operating system. So you can look at, the iOS, if it's Apple, it can be an iPad, it can be an Android phone, it could be Mac OS, Windows, Linux. You can look at what the operation system version is. So for instance, it could be Windows 10 or Windows 7. You might be Microsoft wanting to advertise to people with Windows 7 and let them know that they need to upgrade. Or it could be Apple saying, hey, you really need to upgrade to iOS 14. You're still on iOS 12. You're at risk of losing access to all your apps and all your contacts. And then also the carrier. So, for instance, in America, you may be wanting to get to people, particularly who are on the Verizon network or AT&T. Sorry. In Australia, that could be people who are on the Belong mobile virtual network operating. So that's like on the Telstra network, but just people who are on Belong, or people who are just on Optus, or just on Vodafone, or just on Telstra, or any one of the myriad like Amasim or those kind of like little those virtual mobile network operators who have got like the cheap SIM only plans. So you can target all those kinds of things with it, but you can also target people based on their interests. And those interests are kind of laid out here. So they're very, very, very loose interests, and there's not that many of them. So this is the interest they've got based upon what they believe is the interests of people on this particular platform. So looking at travel, food and bev, news, entertainment, games, beauty and personal care, celebrities, anime, movies, culture and the arts, apparel and accessories, which is absolutely huge. Variety shows I found was a really weird one. That's a very, very specific kind of show. And I don't know that people watch a lot of variety shows. Was that like Graham Norton or something like that? And then you've got people like comedy, people who like have into education, baby, kids and maternity, dance, sports and outdoors, pets, all that sort of stuff, which is very much about your particular likes and dislikes and the things that really interest you. But these are the limits of what those interests are. You can't then go into much, much deeper interests like you can on the Facebook ads platform. It's limited just to these. So for instance, if you're into people who are into onesies, you can't search for onesies as an interest, but you can look at apparel and accessories as the area. If you're looking for people who are into soccer, then you'd look at sports and outdoors, but you wouldn't look for soccer itself. People who are into cavoodles as a breed of dog, that's under pets, but you can't look for cavoodles. Hopefully that makes sense. It's a bit of an unusual way of doing it because usually these platforms are great for doing that. Now, when it comes to measuring your results of your advertising on TikTok, you'll have to look at both the early stage and the later stage of your advertising. The early stage of your advertising is going to be very, very limited kind of stuff you can learn about. So you're talking about the data that's limited, what they call click-based metrics. They can just basically report back to you on what clicks are, what the actions were of someone on the TikTok platform. Did they view your video? Did they click on that particular button or tap on that particular button to go and leave the platform to go to your website? But as you mature with that campaign over time, like I said, first month is probably all early stage. That's why I give it like a yellow light. The green light is where you have so much more specific information to work with and retarget, where you can build those lookalike audiences, do them as exclusions or inclusions, because you're getting much deeper, much more closer matching data. And this works for all the platforms that do this kind of thing. So Facebook's the same, LinkedIn's the same as well. The longer you run these platforms, run these ads from platforms, the more you're going to learn and the more effective these particular things are going to get, until of course they hit that decline stage where you've kind of reached the absolute maximum people who are ever going to be interested in your thing, and the platform's not growing fast enough and bringing new people in. So you have to go, well, in that case, I'm just going to leave this alone and say, yep, it's time for me to leave it. So who is using TikTok ads out there? Who's doing really good things? This particular brand called Superfat, they're keto cookie bites. So they're very low carb, but quite high fat and very high, fairly high protein, right? They're what they call a guilt-free snack whenever, wherever, because they're not gluten, they're completely gluten-free. They've got no sugar, and they're made with almond flour instead of wheat flour, right? So they ran a prospecting campaign targeting TikTok users with an interest in sports and outdoors. So very general, quite a lot of people. And what they got was, between the 29th of May and the 12th of June, was 8 conversions at $619.36 spent. So those 8, so that you divide that by 8, $619.36 divided by 8, it's an expensive spend. So these are, this is not like someone just buying cookies and then having them sent. This is a subscription. So $619, like a subscription of these cookies is quite expensive. Like, they're not the cheapest thing you can get. And as they went through that campaign, so they went from the 13th of June to the 20th of June, they got 4 conversions at $587. So the first week they got a really good result. Second week was actually a little bit like less, because only 4 conversions, but it cost them a fair bit to get those conversions. And then even more, they had 4 conversions that had a total spend of just slightly less than what they got from 8 conversions. So the good thing was that 4 conversions spent nearly as much as the 8 conversions. I mean, that last week they were able to tell that the people who bought were buying a lot more. They weren't just buying the basic pack, they were buying the super pack, right? So what they did, they used very engaging creative that got people interested and really targeted people in that sort of weight loss area, keto lifestyle, exercise people, bodybuilders who don't want a lot of carbs in their diet. And what they got was they did a lot of adjusting of what they call proper bids. So they adjusted how much they were willing to, at certain times of the day or night, bid in the auction for that particular thing. Now, I haven't showed you any of the bidding. There's a reason for that, because it's very deep in the app and it's very advanced stuff. This is agency level stuff, right? What they did, though, they did audience selection based upon the interest. So they looked for the sports and market, the sports and outdoors. They did some prospecting. So they actually put some ads out there that said, hey, are you even interested in this? If you are, let us know. That gave them like a top of, what they call a top of funnel ad, that they were able to put out there that got people at least indicating their interest, so they can then serve them something a bit more to do with buying these keto cookie bites. And then they did remarketing through, for instance, people who had actions on their website or actions on their videos within TikTok, were then sent a second ad or a third ad, depending on how far down that process they were, that was then enabling them to get closer and closer to actually buying that product, rather than just viewing really cool videos about it. Others who are doing really great things, they include Nike, Converse, Kia, Balenciaga, KFC, eBay have all done very, very specific things and had very, very specific outcomes they wanted to do. I'll just pick a couple. Kia wanted to target millennials to promote their newly launched compact SUV car. So they did that by, highlighting the lifestyle aspects of the car and making it so it was very, very much that someone who was young and on TikTok can relate to themselves being in that car. KFC wanted to celebrate its return to delivery. So a lot of their stores in America were closed during COVID, and lots still are. And they started a delivery service they didn't have before that allowed them to start serving their hungry customers all around the country. And they wanted to make sure that they made it known that you could grow, that you could order online and you can have your delivery of KFC just like you'd normally do when you went out to do drive-through. So it was something which was very, very, these are all very massive campaigns by massive brands. These are not small businesses, but you can see that others are active on here. So finally, we're going to look in this last few minutes at growing an audience on TikTok. And I'll look at a guy called London Laz. London Laserson, he's an influencer and a TikToker extraordinaire, has 1.4 million. He's actually got more. He's got about 1.7 million now. He's got so many people following him. But what he did to grow his audience was he posted 3 times a day for 3 months. Now, that is a lot of stuff. And this is a guy who didn't just come upon this by accident. He jumped in and said, I have a plan to become paid on TikTok. So what he did is he posted 3 times a day for 3 months, ignored TikTok's analytics, because analytics tend to serve you quite a bit of false data, which is a bit of a problem with TikTok, that tells you basically you should post more. The more you post, the better you do, because they want more content, right? What he did, though, he felt that if he posted early morning, his content would sit on the platform all day, and that worked for him because it was on there all day. People were able to see it at any time of the day or night. And then what he'd do, he'd repost his most popular stuff again after 30 days so that people who didn't see it the first time around get to see it the second time around. So at only one post, he'd repeat it, but he'd wait a good month before he would repeat that particular post. What happened is that after he got to 500,000 followers, he started to get approached by brands who are starting to roll into his direct messages and saying, we want to collaborate with you. We want you to wear our clothes. We want you to eat our food. We want you to show off our stuff. Then what he does now when he does those collaborations, he charges $550 per video. Now, remember, he's doing 3 a day. So if he does 1 of these a day, he's doing pretty well for himself. But if that particular brand doesn't really match him that well, but he doesn't feel like he's too much of a seller, he feels like he can still do something with it, but it's a bit of a stretch, he'll charge up to $2,500 per video, depending upon the impact on his own personal brand. So you've got the opportunity to go out there and be a TikTok influencer if you want. But you've got to, as an influencer, remind your potential customers and clients that they shouldn't expect direct results. It's not like you put out that video and people will just buy their stuff just because you promoted it. It's more about branding your stuff rather than leading to direct sales of your stuff. And you've got to work out whether that's something you're comfortable with as an influencer or as an advertiser who's using influencers to promote your stuff. You've kind of got to look at that and go, well, I've got to work out whether this is something which I'm comfortable with paying for. Amy Bileski for month 1. So she started it would have been about December 2019. She had 0 followers. By month 2, so the end of January 2020, she had 15,000 followers. By the end of February, she had 25,000 followers, and now has blown up to well over 2 million followers. So 1.5 million is when this screenshot was taken. She's now at well over 2 million. And she does it through providing fun cooking content. She just names things really, really quirky names. She doesn't name what normal people would. And she appears at a bit of her friend to people who were in a very lonely time during COVID. She tips that you should be relatable or unattainable. Be one of the two. Either be an influencer who's got this unattainable life like Jeffree Star, the cosmetics influencer, or you become people's friend that feels like they could talk to you in the street and feel safe and be accepted by you. Post at least once a day. Make sure your ads look just like content. They don't look like ads. They look like TikToks. And cross-promote your business. She's a life coach, and so she cross-promotes her life coaching business all the time as well. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, and I hope you do have a crack at TikTok. There's techniques you can use to do that. If you'd like to know more about that, there are great people on the ASBAS Digital Solutions Program who you can talk to. You can reach out to myself through here. Any of these things on screen, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I don't act on TikTok at the moment. I do know how to make TikTok videos. So if you want to find out more about that, please do. Hopefully, you haven't been turned off by TikTok by those very high prices for advertising. But you don't have to pay for ads on TikTok to make an impression. In fact, most people don't.